I'm just doing a review on the Tow Pro Elite. This is the truck I use for towing our caravan. It's a little Isuzu 250 NKR, and I had to put in a brake controller to tow the caravan, and our truck is 24 volt, so that causes its own dilemmas when everything's 24 volt. For example, to run any gear like the GPS, I have a step down transformer thrown in the dash here, so that turns the 24 volts into 12. So that's one way to do it, but they cost money, like they're an extra add-on to buy, and more wiring and that kind of thing. And I didn't actually have that installed when I installed the Tow Pro, so I had to put that in for GPSs and whatnot. So anyway, back to the Tow Pro. How neat is that? In my other car, I've got a Senion over there, I also can tow with. The brake controller, it's such a tight little area in the SUV. Truck's a bit more spacious, but the brake controller sort of sits here, and I'm forever bumping my knee into it, and I can't access the actual dials on it to adjust very much. So yeah, I'm really annoyed by anything sitting right next to my area here when I'm driving. And the Tow Pro Elite doesn't have that problem. We've got this tiny little dial. You can see the little light that comes on. It just kind of not doing much because I haven't got the caravan plugged into it at present. But this little dial was very easy to install, 10mm drill bit. So that's your main controller, that's all you really see, which is great. I was more than impressed by that. This was just a simple panel I can just pop out, drill the 10mm hole through and screw it on. So about a minute to put it in a dash. Luckily, you know, this dash has got kind of extra bits. Most dash do, you know, like there's ones here, there's ones all over here, like any of these could have been used. I wanted it kind of over there, kind of away so I don't bump it, and also so I can actually yell at other people in the truck and say, you know, turn it on manual, turn it on automatic or whatever. So it's kind of in the middle of everywhere. Now the actual unit itself, right under the dash I hit it. So you can see the little unit up under there. So that's up under away from the kick space, and it has a cord that runs from the Tow Pro Elite up to the button, and it's just like a network cord, so the same as what would be plugged into a modem runs up between that and the button. So the unit itself isn't very bulky, and as you can see, I just mounted it, I just screwed it straight into wherever I could, which was you know, down here under the kick plates in the truck. And the best thing about it was I didn't have to mount it in any certain direction. Like I could have had it sideways, upside down, back to front. It doesn't matter how you mount it. The main thing you've got to do is make sure it's secure. Like that doesn't move if I bash it. Because inside it has some pretty tricky gadgets which senses, it's called Active Calibration, and it senses your braking. So it has kind of inertia switches or sensors inside it. So after about 20 times every time you brake, inside it senses the G-force of your braking for each different vehicle, and it automatically learns the best setup. So, you know, pretty clever stuff. It's there's a few different modes: automatic, manual mode, that kind of thing. So the blue LED, I should really plug this into the caravan to show you, but I can't be bothered. I only just unhooked it from a trip. So the blue light would normally show like that. That'd mean it's in automatic mode, so the trailer brakes are applied proportional to the vehicle. The harder you brake, the harder the trailer will brake. So automatic mode's where it starts using its active calibration and controls, the inertia kind of sensors. So if it's on blue and I'm driving around, the whole thing is just being super smart and working out its own system. If I don't like that, I can override it. You can press manual override in either modes, and you can basically just press the button, and depending on 1 to 10, so you've got 1 to 10 also for manual mode, depending on what's going on, if you had to hit the brakes, you could just tap it and it will actually set the brakes off on the caravan. So that works in either mode. So blue, when you see blue coming on, you can kind of see it's blue at the moment. That's automatic. If it turns green, I can't make it go green at the moment because I'm not plugged into the caravan. But the green is manual, so this is the user control. So if you basically just press it twice and have your foot on the brake, and it'll switch over to the user mode, which is your standard 1 to 10. We're towing a caravan that's about, I don't know, 1,800 kilos or something with the truck, and I found on 4 it was beautiful. It wasn't too much, not too little, it was just good. I did let it go for automatic mode for a little while just to see what it would do. And you know, more than happy with the automatic kind of mode, but I'm a bit of a control freak, and I'd actually prefer always to you know, be telling it what I want. So when you apply the brakes, that little blue light there at the moment that's kind of just breathing away, which means it's, you know, just waiting for me to go on a nice trip somewhere, will turn red. But it doesn't just go red, it'll go kind of amber up to red. So the LEDs will show you how much braking it's applying. So even in automatic mode, it's the same. As soon as you touch the brakes, the light will go from blue or green, depending on your mode, and it will turn into a light kind of white, and then go yellow, and then red, and then really red when it's really putting the brakes on. So you've always got a good visual kind of representation as to what's actually going on. You know, which is great. So really simple to install. I think it took me about 10 minutes. So the unit under there, I just ran 2 wires, and the wires I won't be bothered lifting the engine up at the moment, but I went underneath the seat, and underneath the seat about here in the truck are the 2 batteries that run it. So with those 2 batteries being the 24 volt, I just ran the negative and positive, and you are required, it doesn't come with a 30 amp fuse. So where I brought it just up the road, which was funny, because I actually brought it on eBay, they didn't send me anything, and then when I checked them out to say where's my stuff when you're sending it for the Tow Pro, they said we've been trying to contact you, we're just down the road from you, and they were literally like 4 blocks away from my house. And I hadn't actually brought the Tow Pro. I'd brought another unit, which was the typical one that would be in the way. It has to sit here and it has to be installed exactly right, or it gets all fussy. And when I went to the shop to buy my little Tow Pro, the guy at the shop talked me into the Tow Pro Elite straight away instead of this other version that I'd brought. The other version that I'd brought was just for trucks. It was a 24 volt brake controller, and it was about $180, and this one was $240. So I think it was $245 for the Tow Pro Elite. And when I got there, he just turned me around in 5 minutes. He started telling me all the features of the Tow Pro Elite, and also made in Australia, designed in Australia. You know, good old Aussies knocking some stuff out again. It's about bloody time we start making stuff again, because if we make stuff to the quality of this unit, you know, we would be going great guns again, like we kind of used to in the 80s and whatnot, when we used to actually make stuff and sell stuff to other people, because the Tow Pro Elite should go worldwide. I don't know if they have or not, but, you know, just a fantastic little unit, and so easy. Like, that's the instructions for it. It's so easy to use. So I was quite thankful that, you know, that they didn't send it to me, and I thought they weren't sending me my product. This is just the basic instructions that come with it. Because once he talked me into it, and it didn't take much, once the shop owner started telling me exactly why this is the latest and greatest thing, I totally agreed. It meant a lot less mucking around, and it just looks better, and it has smarter features by a mile than all the other brake controllers, especially the small market of brake controllers for 24 volt trucks that I was looking for. Now, of course, this doesn't have to be on a 24 volt truck. That's the beauty of it. It comes so you can wire it either, you know, to 12 or 24 volt vehicles. You know, it's just a fantastic little piece of gear. And we just did a beautiful trip down to Yanaki in Victoria, and right near Wilson's Prom. And it was the first time I took it out. And I did actually have a bit of a problem. I had to rewire this truck. It hadn't had a tow ball put on it. I'll just quickly show you. It's a little bit off topic, but it hadn't had a tow ball put on it. So this is our truck. It's like a little house sort of thing. So like a gypsy style kind of homemade truck, all made out of recycled materials. I actually asked people if they had stuff that was going to the tip or they didn't want any more. And I was given all this stuff to build my little house truck that pulls our caravan. Now you can see here all my wiring's been pulled out again, because we actually went on the trip and I had to install this. So all this was new, and I had to cut into wiring and whatever. I don't know why the truck had a tow ball, but no wiring. But anyway, because that can take 3.5 tons, which is convenient. Choice of 2 heights and whatever. But yeah, so I wired the lights in, and I did the Tow Pro Elite at the same day. And I had one small problem. We went on this trip, and I got about 10 k's out of town, and I went to put my indicators on, and this indicator here was slightly wired. There was one filament of the wire in here in the plug that was touching just across the brake. It wasn't sending the whole 24 volts to the brakes, but it was sending a little bit to the brakes. So we got across a busy intersection, like a 4-lane highway intersection, and I put my blinker on, and this was sending all the power to the Tow Pro Elite, telling it I was wanting to brake. So we skidded across the intersection, but when the blinkers were blinking, so it was like skid, blinker on, skid, blinker on, skid. So that was kind of scary with people all around me and skidding all over the place. So probably should have pulled over and checked it all out then, but I just kind of went driving on the holiday with, you know, not worrying about it too much, and thought, you know, I'd pull over and have a quick look when I could. So as soon as I got a chance, I pulled over and started checking it out with minimal tools on me. And I found that it was just one tiny little hair wire, because all the wires in the back of this are quite tightly packed in, and one little tiny hair was from the blinker was going to the brake. So every time we indicated, the Tow Pro Elite took that power coming through as braking. So a little bit hairy and scary, but totally my fault. Or, you know, just one little tiny wire out of place made all the difference. So very easy to wire in the Tow Pro Elite. You know, 2 wires, and then 2 wires come down the back. So you've got these 2 wires here, they're coming from the Tow Pro Elite. So one goes to your brake lamp. So this one, because it's the 24 volt again, this one's wired into one of my brake lamps, and this one goes back to the unit. So it's for the braking of the actual caravan. So, you know, very simple, 4 wires coming out of the Tow Pro Elite. And, you know, all in all, I think it's one of the greatest little braking controllers I've had. I've only had a few, like 3 or whatever, but, you know, overall, really happy.